Youth, they come from former Republic of Yugoslavia. So we have Serbs and Albanians, and also now when we have Chinese people, because let's say in Novo Mesto there are 5 Chinese restaurants. So there are all of the sudden 10 years ago there were little Chinese people walking around, and they were lost. Completely lost because their families didn't know the language and they drop out of school. So we have this, and Ukrainians also, and Gypsies. As I say, they are 100 years on our territory and nobody cares for them. So our NGO took care of all of them. And of course there are problems. The problems are on many levels. They are not so big, but they are. There are, for example, some of the nationalities from former Yugoslavia, they don't like each other. Like Tena said, there was a young boy, Kosovar, they didn't like to speak in Slovenian, and they don't like Serbs. So there are tensions, and we have to temper them down. Problems are, let's say for Gypsy children, their parents don't allow them to go to field trips. They think that we will steal the child from the family. For years and years, there is also a problem in schools. So they are excluded from activity. But we went down to families, Gypsy families. We talked with parents, a lot of talking. We even invited them to go with us to Ljubljana, capital of Slovenia, and they were like big children. So now this first family we work with very hard. Persuade other Gypsy families. It's a tradition for them. In our country, they don't allow children to go to, let's say, seaside. It's a 2-hour drive from Novo Mesto to seaside. They don't go. And it's, of course, a problem because they are once again excluded. And the most beautiful part of all of this is there are generations and generations of immigrants. As I say, Novo Mesto is a melting pot in a way, because they stop here. There are construction workers that stay in Novo Mesto, and the ones who were once our participants in NGO, we work with them as children. Nowadays 30 years old, and they are the teachers. So it's a circle, and that's the best. For the problems, if we can resolve this with ourselves. So we call them because they were once the ones we work, and that's something that's really checked. Yeah, that's so that I combine everything in one.
They are students, Afghan, Syrian, Iraq, Muslim, Christian students. They are 7 and 12 years old. They are good. We don't have big problems. In agitation, I work with immigrant youth. They have cultural problems. We work to solve problems with wide social activities. I work to immigrants. Trust me. Yes, okay.
Yes.
And you know, I work in the school, and in that school we have some refugees students, refugees, and I told you in that school there are possibilities to give for that families all they need to the basic conditions: house, food, work, books, and. But it isn't everything. It isn't the most important for him. For him, it's important to stay with our families. and there are some families there stay in Germany, in Italy, in other countries, and for example, we have 4 students in this situation in our school. Now we have 2, because the other 2 and different families suddenly disappear and come to Germany to stay with her, and so I think it's necessary to create a network communication with that families and connect them and study a easy form to put together these families in Germany or in Portugal, but it's difficult to stay separate, you know, because all of us have families, and you can understand. And another difficulty is the communication in classroom. And in our school, we try to develop the skills of these students, and if they have some, how can I say, vitórias, some success, that small success, we destack this success to improve and make more strong, yes, to motivate these students. And I worked 3 years ago in a place we have in Lisbon, Quinta do Mocho, and we have a lot of students in that place from a lot of countries of Africa. And we not construct a building, but prepare a room to stay with these students in the final of the day, to help the students in your studies. And I have a small story. It's because now it's é conhecido já é conhecido, ou seja,
it's public.
It's public. Our actual president of secretary Guterres stay in that class and help the students. Yes.
That's nice.
One day he came to the class and asked me if he can work in this. Well, 10 years ago. Yeah.
But he wasn't a secretary then?
No. He was prime minister and finished. And in the time they finished, 2 weeks after they came to the class and asked me, can I?
Leading by example.
Yes, a lot.